sell or trade, which brings me to a story we're going to talk about a little bit about injectable biometric monitoring devices. In other words, the chips are now being promulgated and endorsed by the Health and Human Services Division of our government. I would wish they would be honest and call them Health and Inhuman Services, and then I would probably go along with it. So to answer your question, how can they accomplish their goals, or will they willingly give them up? I got to share this with you. Most people will. Now, I've also said this. You know, the people that I think are so important to everyone out there, and again, this is something that's tragic, is when you see how many Vietnam vets have shot themselves, been murdered, are homeless, are in the VA, suffering PTSD, all this stuff, you can understand that these guys are probably the only guys that could fight the New World Order on their terms, and meaning on the terms of war. Most people who have hunting rifles and no military experience do not understand modern warfare. But you take a vet who's made it through the jungles of live fire and some of the most horrible conditions in the world, he's a real threat. Now, again, if you understand how many people have been initiated into the Nation of Islam with former military training, you can begin to understand that this isn't just something that's out there that may be a problem. This is something that's becoming a very, very big problem. And it's tragic to me that most people don't understand what an asset human beings are. You know, I talk to people, and they got this and they got that, but as I've got to share this with you, and I think I've made it clear, people are more important than stuff. You need stuff, but you also need people that you can line up with, and by the grace of God, that'll be accomplished. So God bless each and every vet out there, and I mean this with all my heart. You guys are unique in history, and may God preserve you, protect you, refresh you, and heal you of everything that has come your way through life's battles, and yet the life battle that still is to come. So we got to, go to some of the other stories tonight, but this is what I'm thinking. Interesting, very interesting. Let's see what this says. Who's this from Tom, I would guess? Yep. No, this is from Robert. Hi, Robert. He said, "Hi, Steve. These demonic stooges in our government who attended the 9/11 Commission today just shows the complete arrogance of our leaders. Nothing will change this country, absolutely, until Joe's six-pack realizes that his six-pack is gone and the beer trucks aren't moving anymore due to the coming fuel shortages. Our forefathers said that it is the duty of the people to rise up against the government as such as we now have." Now, the point is that the Declaration of Independence is hate literature, so I can share this with you. The Patriot Act, and I think how obvious. Now, most people remember the Patriot movement, 10 years ago? Remember how if you were a patriot, you were like persona non grata, you were next to probably a communist spy from hell? And now they've got the Patriot Act, and it's right in our face, and most people don't even begin to see it. Let's see this. Our forefathers were real men who did not tolerate the kind of crap we now have to put up with. And again, keep in mind that part of the entire plan of communism was to cause the people to become the enemy and to lose respect for their government. Do you think that's happening? And for the people to ultimately have war made on them by their government, and then for the people that started this whole thing to come in and squash the government. Isn't that a wonderful way that the ball turns? So it's fascinating to me that it just gets worse and worse. Listen to this. This is from EJ. "Steve, I live on the Atlantic Ocean just south of Atlantic City, New Jersey. I've seen the military beef up their presence along the coast. Believe you and me, this is no exercise. I live south of, something AC Air Force Base in Dover, which is just south of me, and they're looking for something, not just fighters, but big planes, including the AWACS. I know they're looking for a ship. Any response?" Well, absolutely. What they're looking for using AWACS, they have the frequencies. Let me share this with you. AWACS planes are kind of a fascinating thing because they have computer banks. They have every known frequency. If someone comes up with a new frequency, immediately it's programmed in the computer as soon as it's identified. But let's say they know that Hamid Abdul the third is broadcasting a specific frequency, and they get a ship that is picking up that frequency and then responding on a similar frequency or even on the same frequency. They know they've got problems. So what you're telling me, EJ, with those guys flying over in AWACS planes, they're definitely searching for something, and the something is to try and intercept before it goes down. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a little break here to get some water. We'll be right back. You're listening to Q-Files. Again, your thoughts on the prison camps, if you want, anything that we're talking about. It's the best way that I can get a clear consensus out there of what you guys are thinking and those of you that listen to this program. We'll be right back after the break. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Q-Files. By the way, those of you who have not yet subscribed to the HQ Intel Alert, I would recommend you do so because there are some breaking events taking place, nothing that you wouldn't be warned about if your lives were at stake. But the point is that the background information and the detail that's coming out is absolutely astonishing. So I would encourage you to call us at 1-800. I'm sorry, forget that. I killed my 800 number. Call me at 406-586-4840, 406-586-4840. And you can order the newsletter directly from us, and we're in contact with Doug on a almost sometimes hourly basis. Now, here's an announcement. He said, Steve, please announce this on the show tonight. We are no longer accepting credit card orders for the newsletter. You can order the newsletter very simply by sending a check or money order. We'll be posting a link from our sites that if you wish to pay by check, you can do so yearly or quarterly. It will be a very simple process. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons for that is that we're really concerned with keeping the identities of our subscribers very clearly off of anybody's radar screen, and some people don't mind, but some do. So, therefore, I would encourage you to take advantage of this. We no longer can. Those of you who have already been paying monthly, that's fine, but we can no longer do it just because the take on a monthly basis. We can do quarterly, we can do yearly, but we can't do monthly any longer. It just is too much of a hassle, takes too much time. And I got to share this with you. Some people have blocked their emails and their spam filters, and then Doug and I get yelled at or get some pretty nasty sometimes email saying, where's my newsletter? And from now on, we're also going to be sending a receipt where you'll have to click on it to acknowledge that you've got it. That way we can check the receipts of those who have gotten them against those who are subscribed and haven't. I would just say this. I've seen two people that absolutely have to, and this will sound really unkind, but there are two people I'm glad that no longer get the newsletter, because to say that they're acting like juvenile delinquents, that would be a kind word. You know, can I tell you something? I have never seen people, here I go, hold on everyone, I have never seen a group of people who act so against their own interests as I do in the informed movement. Well, let's just call it that, people who care. I have never seen some of the grouches that are out there. I have never seen such incredible lobotomized logic as I've seen posted on some of the different bulletin boards. You know, some of these people are basically daring you to save their lives. You know, I want to share something. Some of the analysts that we have working for Northeast Intelligence Network, whether you like to admit or not, when you've got the L1 and you've got Laura and Sean and Doug and all those people that are busting their butts to get the information, I want you to know something. I wish I could tell you, and I can't because I'm told not to, and believe me, I'd rather spill my guts than have to keep anything, of sometimes what goes on behind the scenes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that, don't you find it fascinating that all of a sudden the malls are becoming an issue? Guess where you heard it? Don't you find it exciting or at least unusual about all the oil refinery fires in Texas and the new chemical plant fire in Texas that's going on today? You see, here's the thing. There are people that are not professional investigators taking sometimes Doug to task or me to task because they want to know what credentials I have. I'll tell you my basic credential is I have been so far ahead of the curve for so many years, and most of you who listen to me know that. I am not a prophet. I am not clairvoyant. I am not psychic. I am a watchman. I can only share this with you. I believe when God calls people to stand guard and to declare what's coming down, that's what he does. And listen, I'm nothing, I'm no one, but I just happen to be an ordinary man who is serving an extraordinary God. And I don't believe in God as a concept. I believe in God as the individual who is unique and apart from all history because he creates all history. And therefore, I know no other God than the supernatural, redemptive creator of the universe. And again, I want you to understand something. I have told Doug, and sometimes, and maybe I'm telling something out of school, but I say, Doug, sometimes I wish I had more hair to pull out. Because there are, and they call them, what should I say, testicle breakers. I have never seen the testicle breakers, ball breakers, and I'm sorry for being crude tonight, of the people that fight against trying to help them. Good night. You can lead them to, and somebody says, we shouldn't even waste your time on those. No, when they appear and they do their best to denigrate or to take away, from people that are really trying to do something. By the way, I asked those guys, what are you doing, Mr. This, Mr. That? Mr. George, Mr. Larry, Mr. Fred, or whatever else your names are. Again, can I tell you something? It's always easy to sit behind a computer screen and type in stuff. And that's why in the HQ Intel Alert, we have our own bulletin board system. We have our own posting. And I got to tell you something. The people that are conversing and are taking the HQ Intel Alert, it's so refreshing to have a group of people working together and not against each other. And I'll tell you, that is an exciting thing. Also, I want to encourage all of you that post on the bulletin board to post that you're in Rapid City, South Dakota, wherever you're at, so that people can see where you're at. Because, again, as this thing comes down, ladies and gentlemen, becomes more disjointed, meaning the whole economy, the prices of stuff. Again, look, you don't have to go out and buy everything that somebody else may have bought and that they're looking for someone who can carry their weight. Let me share this. Never go into a relationship for the end times on what you can get out of it. Go in for what you can give into it. I have been through this thing for 25 years and seen people come and go. I've had people show up in my parking lot with 10 kids. This is a true story. Husband and wife, broken down vehicle saying, hi, we're here, take care of us. I fix their car, I give them enough money for groceries, and I say, you gotta trust God. I cannot feed 10 kids, 2 grown-ups who are possibly juvenile delinquents, and again, it's the attitude of, take care of me. The thing that I respect is when people who absolutely don't maybe have the means but have the desire and the ability and the skills. I've said this 100 times over the past 10 years. You need to find people that are trained in areas and skills, whether it's communication, whether it's veterans who understand the world, whether it's people who are skilled in being able to teach you self-defense, people who are able to teach you camouflage, concealment, cover, all that stuff. And again, the point is that any advantage you get is one that you're going to be able to utilize. The other thing is now that we're dealing with, let's call it what it is, ultimately urban terrorism / civil war, there are certain things you've got to understand. You cannot expect to sit in your house at night, turn off the lights, and be left alone until sundown, until sunrise. From sundown to sunrise, basically it's 12 hours of bliss. This is why you've heard me continually say, look, the bad guys have night vision. I just read you some stuff off of one of the forums about what's going on with trains. Do you think maybe if you could see that at night, it might give you a warning? Again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to be more pragmatic, and that's why I'm going to go to the preparedness stuff starting next week. I'm going to hit it hot and heavy. And again, the point that I need to clarify to everyone is that this is not Pollyanna doing the end times, okay? This is the most perilous, the most treacherous, the most perplexing, diabolically designed set of events that are going to try each and every one of us. A lot of us are going to die, but praise God, to be absent from the body, to be present with the Lord. A lot are going to live, and the heartbreak of those who live is going to be phenomenally difficult to emotionally handle. And you're going to see this country, which was so great and so wonderful. When I say wonderful, there was a time in this country where we were a great country, where we really did make a difference. And then I got to tell you something. The whores and the carpetbaggers came on the scene by way of their political clout in their financial backers and basically just raped, pillaged, and plundered, and nothing can stand. And it's a testimony to the foundations of this country that's even stood this long. When people call me to say, yeah, I'm 70 years old, I've been preaching this stuff for 50 years, I say, well, you're 50 years ahead of your time. And I said, it's not that, you preached it and it didn't happen. It's that you preached it, and because you preached it, you'll never know what you were able to withhold or hold back. But there comes a time when the floodgates are open and all hell, or for those of you in North Carolina, all hail is poured forth. And I think we're at that period right now. We're at a period where the instability, the frustration, the lack of equilibrium in a financial realm, in a geopolitical realm, the lack of equilibrium, let's face it, in the geophysical realm, the different signs in the heavens. Again, all these things are screaming neon signs of madness, and most people still are trying to think that, gee, if only I can get a plasma TV and a lazy boy rocker and make sure that my pension check comes in every day. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to ponder this. If everything is being planned to destroy the foundations, and as you see the middle class being squeezed beyond anything that you can imagine, as you hear this day or that day that another 3,000 people are being laid off, and then the company laying them off is announcing a higher than expected earnings, they aren't earning anything. All they're doing is cutting their expenses, and obviously I realize that affects your bottom line. But again, what they don't understand is in declaring higher profits, they become victims of the entire economic collapse that they're so happy with. Look, let me make it even clearer than that. Who do you sell your stuff to when the American consumer is gone? Why do you think the merchants of the earth sit off Mystery Babylon as it burns in New York City and are weeping, because guess what? We were the ultimate consumer. Maybe we were the ultimate consumer, we become the ultimately consumed. This is the thing that I have an issue with so much, is that we're not talking about, again, just something that's very, very, nonchalant, gee, everything is going to be fine, it'll work out, and the stupid, what I call Pollyanna-like statements being made about the end times. I have actually had people tell me this. Well, if I just don't acknowledge it, it won't happen. I say, let me tell you something. If they stick you up against the wall and they blindfold you and they say, ready, aim, fire, you can sit and say, this isn't happening to me, this isn't happening to me, this isn't happening to me, all you want. And guess what? Not only bang, pop goes the wheel, but down you go, dropped dead. So, again, everyone, I would encourage you to recognize that we're talking about some probing events that will not become probing events any longer. They'll become problem events. Let me read this to you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how about this? In the San Francisco area, thanks, Dave, I was going to get to this, and I was too wrapped up in trying to address this other issue, but did you hear about the ruptured diesel fuel pipeline in the San Francisco area? Over 1 million gallons, again, of diesel fuel has spilled into the bay. Must have just been a glitch, hey? And Dave obviously is, that the question mark is as cynical as I sound tonight. Listen, everyone, it's happening, and it's happening before our eyes. And I really believe this, that the epitaph for America will be political correctness destroyed the nation on the top line, but on the bottom line is woe unto them that forsake the God of heaven. That's where we're at. You can tell me I'm wrong. And meanwhile, everybody's looking to get out of here on a fast rapture index. I heard that somebody actually is producing a rapture watch. Well, I got news for you. Time is not on his side. Remember that old Rolling Stones song? Time is on my side. Okay, just a little backwards into the past. Okay, let's say this. Reliable map for concentration camps. This is from Bill. Are there any reliable maps where these concentration maps are actually located? Yeah, as a matter of fact, there are. And Bill, the best way to find the concentration camps is to look at closed government bases. Because what you're going to find, and there's actually maps of those. That's what I'm trying to share. Go on Google, type in closed government military bases, and you'll see it. Also, Richard Sauder, S-A-U-D-E-R, has a book, Underground Tunnels and Bases. He's got maps there. Those maps are a little bit old. So the best way to find them is just to go onto the link and look at the closed military bases, because that was George Bush Sr.'s gift to the New World Order. Here's what Tony says. Steve, we have new sports stadiums as well as sports complexes all around the country. Listen to this. A local Pentecostal minister from Pasadena, Texas, actually saw guillotines at the Houston ship channel bound for the desert. I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, I have a personal friend. I told you, he's a pilot. His brother-in-law was one of the head longshoremen in Long Beach about 15 years ago when a whole crate of those things came in, and one broke loose and literally on the dock. Now, that was the original source of the story, by the way, of the guillotines. I can tell you point blank that military men who are Christians beyond New World Order and who really love this country have physically seen them, and I can tell you this with tears in their eyes or with trembling in their voices. They've let me know that. And not just me, there are other people that know this too. And I can tell you that, if you look at the military bases, they usually have them. They always have railroad tracks to a nice little house, and yet they say they're for cattle. Yeah, human cattle. So the point is that they're getting set, everyone. Let's see what this says. Let's see. Oh, this somebody's saying Chinese subs. We keep looking for something, don't we? We may be looking for the Iranian subs, but I can tell you this, our Navy's so good, we could take them out. What they're looking for and what they're monitoring, quite candidly, is the presence of Chinese and Russian subs. Again, given the current rhetoric coming out of Moscow and the previous last week meeting between the Soviet defense, Russia's defense secretary Ivanov and his Chinese counterpart, they've scaled up their anti-submarine warfare off of all the coasts. Let's see what this is, Diana. Okay, this is a pretty good question. It's not a dumb question. She says this. So I guess I don't quite get the whole picture. Are they planning on killing everyone? If not everyone, then who are they going to kill? And who will be spared? What is the purpose? Are those to be spared to be their slaves? Yes. Please explain this a little more. I want to understand the whole story, and somehow it seems I'm missing a piece somewhere. What you're missing, Diana, is the New World Order's prime directive is that the planet can only sustain 500 million people. That means 5.5 billion people have to be terminated. In the termination process, they will use nuclear war, they will use biological weapons, race-specific weapons, genetic marker-specific weapons. They will use civil war, everything, because their motto for the whole New World Order, never forget this, is order out of chaos, okay? You first generate the chaos, and then you bring about the order. It just happens to be a new world order. So I hope that you're getting it, and again, I don't mean to sound simplistic, but they're going to kill as many as they can kill. The Bible teaches they're going to kill about a half of the population on the planet. If you take 6 billion, take a third of that, okay, that's 2 billion, take a third of the remaining, 4 billion, that's 1.3 billion, so they're going to kill close to 3.3 billion people. Do you believe it's going to happen? I do. And again, Jesus rebuked the Pharisees of his day, and I think we got a lot of those guys in pulpits because they didn't know the Scripture. They thought they knew the Scripture, but they didn't know the power of the God who wrote the Scripture. And the point is that they saw what they saw, they heard what they heard, but because of their preconceived biases and their desire to control and manipulate, they could never see the gift that God sent to the human race to redeem them in the person of Jesus Christ. That's why they said it's expedient. In other words, it's better for us if we kill Jesus. And I can share this with you. The same statement will be made by those in control. It's better for us if we kill the Christians. It's so fascinating to me that the parallel between 2,000 years ago and right now, the same words are being echoed, if you will. Steve, maybe it's not a question of knowing who are in the trains, but rather the fact that the trains are running. The system is up and running. Could it be that the train is running is indicative of how very close we are to full-scale internment operations? Absolutely. The executive order concerning SARS quarantine could be a further indicator of what is just around the corner, as are the financial fireworks in the metals markets. Maybe time has indeed finally run out. Not sure, but just a thought. He said, God bless you and your family. Thanks, Tim, and you too. Listen, we're close. That's the whole thing. We are close. Here's what Mark sends me. He said, Steve, there is also 3 comets, which is unprecedented in history, about to be visible in the next few weeks. Add to that the New World Order agenda and is being put into overdrive, and return of Jesus seems imminent. And he quotes Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the imminent return of Jesus, those are his words, and I'm not, picking on him. I'm just saying, before we see the return of Jesus, it's going to get awful bad. I want to put this into perspective. The tribulation is the devil's wrath against mankind. The day of the Lord is God in one day, setting everything right in his judgment upon all the fallen angels, all the rebellious people on earth, and everything that has risen up against him. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are set for one incredible roller coaster ride, and I want you to know that your hope and trust can be in someone greater than yourself. His name is Jesus. Well, good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Q Files.
We would like to
God
thank
bless
you
you.
for tuning in.